Don't be shy, handsome. What can Christina do for you?
I'm not looking for what you're selling, but I'd like to ask you a few questions if I may.
So this is
I'm a
the
doctor.
prostitute we never met.
All right then, but be quick.
They didn't quite manage to make that line work with her job with her facial expression, did they?
So, okay, so she's suffering from fatigue too, so I guess we can give this to her and then just
that'll work.
Any assistance, Miss Popper?
It depends on the price.
pray the fatigue away for Mr. Darby.
I'm shocked that you would think I am that sort of man.
Forgive my suspicion. I'm so used to liars with good
Have a
names.
freebie.
Thank you, sir.
Goodbye, miss.
Cool.
Take care of yourself as best.
We did it.
I mean, we didn't actually do everything that we had intended to do, but Mr. Darby is missing, so... Oh, there he is. Hi. Is there a hideout nearby? We could maybe...
Check the map. I believe there is.
Ooh, yep. Looks like Darby's suffering from a little fatigue. Alright, so what you wanted to do is give him a nice hot cup of tea and then just, like, kind of sprinkle ladybugs on him.
There's
That should
one
clear
directly
us.
behind you.
Custom marker.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that's...
It's not too far. It's literally down.
What's up
turn around
here?
and that's the combat area we had to come through to get to
Nothing.
Whitechapel the first time.
Oh.
So yeah, it's just like right up here and then upstairs. Nope. Yeah.
Around here.
Yeah, it's up there with that blinking light.
This is the door
Yay.
that I managed to go through backwards.
Yes, the door we went through like 8 times.
Yeah. It wasn't 8. Okay, where do we craft stuff here? Are we able to do that
There
here?
should be a
or...
bench somewhere.
Yeah, here we go. Analyze. Alright, that gives us the formula for these things. Some of these things take a fucking lot, though. Oh,
But
we
they're
have
for
a
the
migraine
high-
cure. Sure wish those actually worked in modern day times.
By the way, I didn't bring this up earlier because we got distracted pretty quickly, but neuralgia is very much a real, like, very much like an active medical term.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, ideally you would treat it by taking whatever you're cooking up right now.
Neuralgia, anemia,
Just a bunch of codeine, it's fine.
pneumonia. We have
Just get
a
fucked
treatment
up
for
on bath
anemia.
salts and ergot.
Where's pneumonia? Okay, we need more codeine and potassium permanganate? Ganate? I don't know. Alright, cool. That reminds me, though, we don't actually know where this guy is. Albert Palmer. We didn't meet him, so we didn't actually finish. We just almost did. So will this cause the district to recover from serious...
It will not cause it to recover instantly. What it does is it makes it so that whenever, like every time we take a nap, every time we move the day
Right.
forward,
That's what I mean.
the districts change. This will help prevent that from falling further. Depending on, like, I'm trying to remember exactly how getting rid of the pillar hurts things, but the fact that we have Dorothea Crane still alive probably helps a lot.
Do you need assistance?
That would be nice of you, Doctor.
Right.
Who knows what I may have caught during my investigation.
If you persist in investigating the most pox-ridden boroughs of London, you must accept the risks.
Thank you, sir.
Wear a
Goodbye,
mask.
Mr. Darby. Farewell.
Yes. That is the one thing this game gets wrong. No one is wearing masks. which were a thing in 1918.
Yeah, that was a thing back at the time.
Yeah, but then you would be able to see all the very intricate facial expressions they put in this game.
This might be a short
Actually, no, I mean, like, let's be cruelly blunt for a moment here. Masks really would have probably made this game more immersive.
Here,
I mean, the reality is that they're sort of using the Spanish flu of 1918 was sort of a backdrop for their vampire blood disease thing that they're doing here. They didn't really mean for this to be as topical as it has become.
Locked, all right.
Well, I'm not even
yeah,
considering
obviously.
it in that context. It's just like, yeah, but people did wear masks during this flu. It would have been clearly historical accuracy in their visual presentation was not a massive priority, but this guy needs to go back in the oven for a little while. This is not quite cooked.
Very funny.
I found
is
the
this?
recruiter you were expecting.
ah,
He's dead, but he carried a note. The Wet Boot Boys have accepted your application.
I knew it! I told you I was tough enough. I'll be free soon.
I don't remember what your story is, except I think you
He wants
got
to join the gang.
almost shot.
Yeah, he did.
So what's our feeling?
I kind of like just calling him gullible to his face. It's kind of funny.
I don't approve of the Wet Boot Boys, but
What's worse is that you're clever enough to know better.
You're all fancy words, none of which concern me. Go worry about someone else. I'm fine.
We didn't even use gullible.
Goodbye, young man.
are we
Got a
going to get
future
him
in
as
the Wet Boot Boys. Every meal
he's just
a
going to become a
banquet.
criminal?
Criminal with tasty, tasty blood.
I don't suppose there's
Also-
any for a sort of fast travel.
I was like,
haven't
everybody's
found
like, oh, what a magnanimous gesture giving me these medicines for free. And we're just kind of playing it off like, just doing my duty as a doctor wants to drink your only the cleanest, freshest mountain springs of blood.
This game does have a little bit of the Bioshock problem, I think, in that it tries to present a moral choice, but it doesn't quite have
Sort of this way.
the turpitude to actually like stick to it and make it matter. That goes back to is that the funeral home? I think that's the funeral home, and that's what our side quest is right now,
Yeah.
is to go talk to the Asian lady we saved. We have to go tell her to go to the hospital. But that's a side quest. If you
Right,
don't want to
okay,
do
we
it.
can do that then. And then we should actually get on with the main quest, because we've been doing this for like 30 minutes and nothing has happened.
We beat up some guys
Oh no, we had
and gave some
we had
medicine
a
out.
blood farming episode. It was fine.
We learned about neuralgia. Now everybody knows it's a real thing. But yeah, I feel like the game does have a little bit of the Bioshocks about it, where like it tries to be like the only way to get strong enough is to
great
consume human blood, but also like not really. You can pretty much beat the game without eating anybody. Pacifist runs are not like insurmountably hard.
I feel like this game is a little bit better about that than Bioshock 1 was, where
Well,
like you
Bioshock 1 would give you
either
presents.
murder the little sisters or save them, but if you save them, you get some Adam anyway, and then later they give you extra Adam in the form of presents to the point that it's almost the same amount as if you just ate them.
Isn't it like only like 20 atom difference? It's not a lot.
Yeah, it's so tiny. It's one of those
Whereas
things
here-
that like I strongly remember about Bioshock 1 was how like completely pointless that moral choice system was, because it just was totally undermined. And it didn't have to be. Like, you know, that game is not balanced in such a way that you need all that Atom. You can play a conservative build in that game without having to do too many skill upgrades, but
Yikes.
I have a nice thing to say and a not quite as nice thing to say about this game, and they're kind of the same thing. And I think it comes down to like why I'm really enjoying this season, and why I think this looks like a neat game, and also why I don't really want to play it.
Give my radar back.
Like, this game's got a lot of cool ideas, right? And I don't just mean like things that are cool in theory. I mean like, you know, there are concepts and characters and plot points and story beats that are neat, and like that I like seeing stuff like this in a game. But what the game doesn't really create much, and what I'm a huge sucker for. What?
Wasn't this where she was buried?
Well, shit.
We'll come back and deal with this later.
This is good.
I was right, wasn't I?
This is a good moment. I like
absolutely correct.
This is
that
cool.
She's going to turn out to be a fucking vampire.
It is both like a good thing and a slightly inconvenient thing that happened right as I was about to make my negative comment about the game.
Are you all right?
Okay, here it is. This game does not manage to create much of a
I
tone,
do apologize, Xiaoshu.
like much of a mood, really.
This is the only place where I can find some kind of.
I don't know. I feel like it's.
Some way to remember, my dear Matthew.
The problem is that it undermines the mood with the combat sequences, right? Like, which are kind of this goofy, wacky, over the top kind of thing.
That's certainly true. Yeah.
Have you recent news of Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
But like, I feel like when it's not doing that, and you're running around London and like everything's shit, and you're talking to people and like everything's shit, like that works.
And I'm saying is like that could work, and in some ways, I think also it would work better if there was less dialogue.
Tell me
yeah.
how your husband died, Xiaoshu.
Like some of these dialogues are just like a little bit too video gamey.
It's a mundane cause of death these days, but for me, it meant the end.
Yeah.
At this time, there is so little.
I want to put it more helpfully than that. It's just like the with the radial menus and like kind of
I'm truly sorry.
the back and forth and around and like
Even
it.
if it tears me apart, the worst is not to have seen it coming.
There's a lot of dialogue that's like, or dialogue choices that are just completely unnecessary because they're like, it's all a cul-de-sac in most cases. What you say doesn't really affect anything. So why not just do the Witcher thing where, like, you know, Geralt has a lot of stuff that he says that he just says. Like, there's no player choice involved. It's just like, here we go. Here's Geralt talking for a bit. You know, that probably would have helped here rather than breaking these dialogue sequences into like bits where you can make Jonathan yell at someone for no reason and then they just don't acknowledge it at all.
Right, that's part of it. Like the way that these dialogues kind of flicker all over the place tonally.
Yeah.
I never said goodbye to Matthew. We
Hey,
never
Ben.
realized how bad it was. We
See ya.
laughed about it even. He always made me laugh. Now I don't have enough tears to shed.
I feel like part of what they're going for is almost a Mass Effect style of character-based interactions, right? Like every character has their own story, their own backstory, and so every character has their own thing going on. But there are so many, and your interactions with them are so brief that they come off as caricatures rather than real characters.
One day maybe.
And I think that's part of the problem. Like, we have a cast of 75 characters, each with different blood levels, mesmerization levels, diseases they can get, their own backstories. And some of them are really cool, and some of them are actually kind of memorable. But, like, at the end of the day, they don't really have arcs. They just have their backstory, and then you decide what to do with them. And that's not a satisfying story.
My homework assignment to myself is to try to think of a game that I wish this was more like. Because, like, it's easy for me to, like, say vaguely, like, oh, I feel like this is what I want. But unless I can actually come up with something which evokes that kind of sense with its world, then it's not gonna
Even
like
worse when you're
it's not gonna pay off. Also, it'd be great if I could think of a game I wish this was like, which would be achievable for Don't Nod's more modest budget. Although this is obviously not like a budget indie title per se. Like I think we've used the term like AA before. That feels about right.
Yeah.
Huh.
Don't tell her about Mary. Do not tell her about Mary.
It's too late.
Like I feel like
not saving your sick husband.
No, I am not. But I still need to blame someone for Matthew's death. And who else, if not his wife, who
Jeez.
did not see it coming?
I'm a physician. One
Can we
of the best in the
start
country.
asking people if they're doctors secretly?
I was
Are you a doctor too?
Sister Mary.
You horning in on my territory?
Turns out it's,
Is it
it's
supposed to
actually the entire staff of Black Mesa was time relocated to fucking London. They're all doctors.
be? May I ask?
Well, I almost kind of wish this was more like Pathologic 2,
She
actually.
was also killed by a terrible disease.
I say that, I actually didn't like Pathologic 2 that much.
No matter how long it takes.
Thank you for
I picked it up recently, but I haven't gotten around to playing it.
Maybe
It's
I-
not
people-
dissimilar in some ways. Rutskarn's got a point.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
it's similar, but I think I would have liked it better if it was more like this, and I think I'd like this game more if it was more like Pathologic 2.
Cemeteries are for the dead. For they
Like,
need
Pathologic 2 has a really great vibe going where conversations are very punchy, but you get a lot out of them.
Take care on the way home.
And because they can't like have these
Goodbye for now.
they don't have like a lot of budget to put into like your conversations with the people, they actually don't have like really voice acting or facial animations at all. You just kind of get like a tableau of them which moves like animatic style
The only place.
next to text dialogue, and that actually does really well at evoking like kind of a mood and a tone. And it probably would have been a lot cheaper than doing what they did here, and what they did here I don't think works especially well. Although maybe it's necessary to reach the kind of penetration they were looking for.
Like you're no stranger to the pain.
But now that you bring it up, I do wonder how much the original Pathologic may have influenced this title, because that title's 4 or 5 years old now, and this came out only 2 years ago. So,
Then, Doctor.
and they do so
Yeah,
much in terms
Pathologic
of
is only
like,
5 years old.
okay, maybe more than that. But my point is like, Pathologic is old enough that it could have influenced this game, and this is a game where you play a doctor trying to maintain the overall health of a town during a plague.
Yeah.
While you don't have the time constraints of Pathologic, but it does work on a day-to-day system where every time you level up, the day moves and more people get sick, and you have to balance it all.
Holy
I
shit.
think it might. What?
Pathologic's 15 years old.
Oh, Jesus
I was
Christ!
gonna
don't
say that
that.
game's like a mid 2000s game, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think it really like caught on among Western press until much after that. To be fair,
Yeah. Can we get there from here? Oh, let's
You just got to go
Oh,
south.
yeah.
I mean, we're going back to the beginning of the game.
think. Maybe? Maybe not.
which I'm
That
like,
poor
imagine.
skull was
Okay,
just
so like
living in
take
his
this game
house.
world, scale it down to like first person. I think that this level of fidelity would work reasonably well in first person.
Yeah.
Slow it down a little bit so that you're walking more than you're running.
Yeah, do like, you know, maybe Deus Ex Human Revolution it a bit. Blackwell
less parkour.
Flauberg.
Honestly, I feel like you would get into this character a lot more if he was like, because okay, so I'm just cribbing from like, I'm cribbing from non-video game media here and making this judgment, and you're very free to criticize me and say that it's not true. But like, I feel like a character like this, and especially like a floaty vampire like gentleman archetype, works best when there is a sharp contrast between who they are when they're in human like mode and who they are when they're in vampire mode. So I feel like this game needs more of a contrast between like Dr. Reed walking around versus like the kind of parkour like kung fu monster. And when we're running around everywhere, I feel like we're just kind of in kung fu monster mode all the time.
I do love the way that looks. Like, I know it doesn't do enough damage, but
Yeah, it does. I think the first person we used it against was like a semi-boss character, and so it looked really anemic, but...
I've talked a lot about how combat doesn't always read super well in terms of, like, what's happening with the MMO cooldown powers, but just in terms of the animations and stuff, it's really cool. Which is especially neat because Dontnod's not... I mean, I guess they did have a few other, like, third-person character action-y type games that I didn't play.
Nom nom nom. Street food.
I like that you kill 3 people and you say nothing. You eat 1 rat and you're like, this is just the worst.
Well, I didn't eat those people.
Like, the doc is chewing you out like you're just Duke Nukem who picked up a poop from a toilet.
Are we
He had the same tone. He had the same tone as like Lucille Bluth when she lifts the cloche on her poolside burger and curly fries.